3 p.m. we have a program at Al-Baqi Cemetery. All the information has been shared. Please attend that program. Registration is recommended. Bar Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وآله الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Continuing with our little hadith session that we have on the book of Combat with the Self, as they say. I found out that this book has been translated to English, Combat with the Self. So last week I explained what this book is all about, so I'm not going to repeat myself on that, but there was the first chapter of this book was titled Wujub, the wujub of fighting the self, okay? So I didn't really explain that and elaborate on that too much. I thought it would be a good idea to talk about that a little bit. When we use the word wujub, the first thing that comes to mind is something that's wajib, shar'an, like it's fiqh or something, right? Like if someone doesn't do it, then they're in trouble. But then you notice that sometimes this word is even used for Allah. So for example, they'll say, lutf, for example, is wajib on Allah. Or it is wajib on Allah to send prophets, for example. What does that mean? That means, na'udhu billah, that Allah is going to be in trouble if He doesn't. No one can tell Allah what to do, what not to do. Here, wujub has a different meaning. Wujub here in this context means that we are sure that it's going to happen. Not that anyone's going to hold Allah accountable. That's one context. One context is fiqhi context. Salat is wajib, Sawm is wajib. There's another context too. And that's what we were talking about. Wujub of fighting the self, combating the self, resisting the self. This wujub is not a shari'i wujub like we have for salat and Sawm. Here it also means necessity, right? The necessity of standing up against one's nafs. And I want to explain nafs as well, okay? Because that's also a little misunderstood maybe. And it's good if we just open that up a little bit as well. So here when it says the wujub of it, it's reminding us that, look, this is something that you would have understood yourselves anyway. What are we here for to begin with? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, He says, I created you for ubudiyya. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسِ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I want you to be my abds, to be my servants. What does a servant do? A servant might desire certain things for himself or herself, but if the master wants something else, what are they going to do? They're going to go against the self and serve and satisfy the master, the Lord. Correct? So this wujub here is a wujub that we all understand. The necessity of, that's what we're here for. It is the necessity of whenever our desire goes against Allah's satisfaction, to do what? To prefer Allah's satisfaction. This is a necessity. A necessity that we understand because we know why Allah brought us here. And so that's why He has titled His chapter as the wujub, Babu wujubi jihadin nafs. The wujub of fighting the self, resisting and combating the self. Now, what does nafs here mean? Nafs means the self, when they translate it, right? But what does that exactly mean? Of course, it doesn't mean I have to punch myself and fight myself physically. No one interprets it like that. So what is going on here? They'll say that it means to, whenever you have a certain desire, going against your desire equals fighting the self. But the question is, when is this fighting of the self so necessary? All the time? No matter what I want in life, just the mere fact that I want it means I have to go against it? Is that what it is? Is that how it works? No. We don't see a necessity in that every single thing that I desire, I have to go against it and not have it. So what is it when we say fighting the self or the desires that we have? It's those desires that go against what? The satisfaction of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In other words, the haram. If my desire goes for something that's haram, that's when I have to fight the self. And haram isn't just one or two things. Sometimes getting angry at home and shouting at mom and dad is haram. Yeah? That requires a lot of patience, right? Or husband and wife, yeah? Or saying abusive things. Haram, the spectrum is a wide and broad spectrum of harams that we have. And so when it says fighting the self, this is what is meant. Fighting the self and those things that we desire but goes against Allah's desire. Okay? Now, this also has its own tiers and grades. There will be some things that if I go against Allah's wishes and concede to my own and succumb to my own desires, there's punishment awaiting me as a result. Sometimes no, it's not punishment. But at the end of the day, Allah might have preferred that I do something else. That might be the makruhat, right? Personally, I'm not there yet to have to worry about all the makruhat. We, inshallah, if we focus our efforts and make it a point in our lives to refrain from the haram 100%, then inshallah the time will come to be very strict on makruhat as well. But sometimes the priorities are mixed up. And some people will focus more on makruh and mustahab than they do on wajib and haram. So we have to get that right as well. So fighting the self, fighting the nafs, this is what it means. It means when you have the desire to do something that goes against Allah's satisfaction, that's your nafs that you have to fight now. That's the whole subject that we have here. That the whole book is revolving around. The title is revolving around when it says it is necessary to fight the nafs. So last session, we started with the first hadith in this chapter. Let's move on to the second one. The second one, it says, the second hadith in this chapter says that Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam, he said, "Ihmil nafsak." قال أبو عبد الله عليه السلام احمل نفسك لنفسك فإن لم تفعل لم يحملك غيرك. The next few hadiths that we're going to cover, they all kind of are revolving around this theme, and I like it a lot. It's important. Although it's very, very obvious and clear. Let me ask you a question. If I want to be a basketball superstar, all right, is that going to get, the fact that I go to the gym every day and I'm the ball boy for others, is that going to make me a basketball superstar? No. I got to put the work in myself. I got to practice myself. I got to take care of myself. Yeah, because I want others to also pass me the ball, I will pass them the ball. You want to shoot 100 free throws? All right, I got you. I'll pass you the ball for the free throws. But then you gotta scratch my back too, and you got to give me 100 passes as well. At the end of the day, if I don't put the work in myself, no one else's work is going to help me at all. Correct? No. Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam here, he says, احمل نفسك لنفسك. Right? Pick yourself up. Get off your own back for your own self, for your own sake. Get off of your back for your own sake. فَإِن لَمْ تَفْعَلْ لَمْ يَحْمِلْكَ غَيْرُكَ. Because if you don't get up off your back for yourself, no one else is going to get you off your back for yourself. In other words, it lies in our own hands. Our own felicity in the hereafter is what it is. Right? If like for example, Agha Bahjat becomes Agha Bahjat because we're seeing the final product after 80 years of servitude. This person, he's done the work when we weren't seeing for decades and decades. You know what that means, decades and decades? These athletes, how much do they work? In their 20s and in their 30s. And if you're LeBron James, you might hit 40. That guy's a little stronger than the rest. But that's about it. This is a person that's been working on his craft, Ayatollah Bahjat, for example, has been working on his craft for 80 years. It's not going to yield results. Yeah, of course it's going to yield results, and we'll see the results. But let's not forget that 80 years were put into this final product. Yeah? So did anyone else do the work for him? No. He got off his own back. وَأَن لَيْسَ لِلْإِنسَانِ إِلَّا مَا سَعَى. The Quran says, look, whatever you sow, you will reap the rewards of. Whatever work you put in, you will see the results of. It's as simple as that. This is a very obvious statement, but every now and then we have to be reminded of this. No one else is going to do the work for us. Next hadith. Once again, قال أبو عبد الله عليه السلام لرجل إنك قد جعلت طبيب نفسك. Same concept, different wording. Okay? The sixth Imam told somebody once, he said, You have been made the physician and doctor of yourself. So here someone might just, get a little worried. Okay, I'm a doctor now, but to be a doctor, I have to know how to treat myself, treat a patient. I don't know the medicine. I haven't studied any of this. I don't know what to do. He says, don't worry. وَبُيِّنَ لَكَ الدَّاء. Number one, the disease has been communicated to you. You know what the da is, the problem is, the sickness is. What is the sickness? It's the people who listen to their nafs over Allah's desires, over Allah's satisfaction. That is the da, that is the problem. So you are a physician, but don't worry, because we've shown you what the illness is. وَعُرِّفْتَ آيَةَ الصِّحَّةِ. You have also been shown the signs of health. So like there are some signs of a person to be healthy. Okay? The same way you have physical health, you will also have the signs for spiritual health. What are they? Number 1, 2, 3, 4. How much am I listening to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? How much are my actions in accordance with what my marja taqlid says? If they are in accordance with that, then I am healthy. This is a sign that I'm getting it right. Sometimes people say, I want to know how spiritual I am. We'll see how much we're listening to Allah. That's how spiritual we are. I don't know why it's so complicated. No, I want to see angels in my salat and all of that. That's not the measuring stick. The measuring stick is see how much you are obeying Allah. That's how close you are to Him. Very simple. So the illness, we know what it is. The signs of health of the soul, we know what those are. وَدُلِلْتَ عَلَى الدَّوَاءِ. All right, and you have been shown the cure as well. What is the cure? The 1, 2, 3, 4, all of these do's and don'ts that Allah has given us. If I don't listen to these, if I don't fulfill these commands of Allah, my soul is going to be ill. And vice versa will also be applicable here and will be correct. That if I apply the do's and don'ts, what does a doctor do when you go to a doctor? He says, don't do this, do that. Don't do this, don't do that. That is going to be my cure. Correct? And so this is the Imam telling him, you know everything, that makes you the doctor. If you know everything, think about it. If I know how to do surgery on people, I'm able to diagnose them with whatever illnesses they have. I know I can write them prescriptions, all that stuff. Can I say I'm not a doctor anymore? I'm a doctor. What else does a doctor do? Correct? What else does a doctor do? You're a doctor whether you like it or not. Well, here the Imam is telling him, you know the illness, you know what a healthy person looks like. Yeah, a spiritually healthy person looks like. And you also know the cure and what is to be done and to not be done. You know all of this, so that makes you a doctor. And the doctor of yourself. Tabib nafsik. Fanzur kayfa qiyamuka ala nafsik. So, this is the conclusion the Imam wants to draw. If you are your own physician, you are your own doctor, let's see how you're going to take care of yourself. Are you going to wait for anybody else? Think about it, brothers and sisters. If there's a doctor out there who gets sick, okay? There's a doctor out there who gets sick. Are they going to go to another doctor when they're a doctor themselves? No, they'll take care of themselves. They know what they have to have, and yeah, they might have to go out and consult other physicians just to make sure of what conclusion they've come to. But if they're 110%, okay, this is the common cold. Okay, this is COVID. Okay, this is that. If they know exactly what it is, they don't have to go to another doctor. I'm my own doctor, I can do that. So here the Imam is saying, look, let's see how you take care of yourself if you are your own doctor. Next hadith, hadith number 4. قال أبو عبد الله عليه السلام لرجل اجعل قلبك قرينا برا وولدا واصلا. He talks about the heart of an individual, talks about the knowledge of an individual, talks about the nafs of an individual. And he likens each of them to certain things. And so this hadith, the reason why it's in this chapter is because of the nafs part, but the other parts also we can take inspiration from. He says, make your heart a righteous companion of yours. What does a righteous companion do? It always wants the best for its friend, it's for its companion, right? So make your heart such for yourself. Waladan wasilan, a son or a daughter, like as if it's your son. This heart of yours is a son or daughter that has a good relationship with their father and mother. What does a child that loves their mother or father do? Wants the best for them, takes care of them. Let your heart be such, the Imam says to this individual. وَاجْعَلْ عِلْمَكَ وَالِدًا تَتَّبِعُهُ. Make the knowledge that you have like your father. What do you do when it comes to your father? That you look up to, that you respect. What do? You take him as your example. You follow his advice and guidance. Take your knowledge as such, the Imam says. But then you have this thing called the nafs. وَاجْعَلْ نَفْسَكَ. So it's all good till here. But you have also a nafs. You also have this thing in you that is always pushing you towards the wrong things. Make that your adu. اجعل نفسك عدوا. Make it your enemy. This is important. If you remember last session, what did I say? I said some people, the difference between jihad akbar and jihad asghar, one of them is that in the when you're fighting the outer enemy, you know that is the enemy because arrows are coming your way from him. He ain't no friend. Correct? So but when it's the inner enemy, lots of times people are not able to identify that. Not only do they not identify it as the enemy, what do they take it as? The Quran says, أَفَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَاهُ. They take it as their Lord, their nafs. So this is a problem. Here the Imam is saying, take this nafs as your enemy. Yes? Don't let it fool you and make you think that it wants the best for you. No. So what do you do with an enemy? تُجَاهِدُهُ. You fight it. So اجعل نفسك عدوا تجاهده. See this nafs that is always pushing you in the direction of things that Allah doesn't want from you. See it and take it as your enemy that you have to fight. وَاجْعَلْ مَالَكَ عَارِيَةً تَرُدُّهَا. And take your mal and wealth as an amana, as a trust that you have been entrusted with. What do you do with the trust? When you are entrusted with something, you eventually are going to give it back, right? And so you have to give back as well. The Imam is saying this is perspective that you should have towards your qalb, towards your ilm, towards your nafs, towards your mal. Yeah, this is Islamic culture. People think Islamic culture has to do with the food we eat or the way we dress sometimes. Other than the wajibat of the dress code that we have in Islam, like hijab, for example, or a few other things, it's not all about how short or long your hair is, how short or long your beard is. It's about these things, brothers and sisters. This is Islamic culture. These are Islamic teachings. If a person has these, if their beard is as long as mine or as short as something else, if they're going by the wajibat, that's fine. You're good. That's Islamic culture, inshallah. And that's what's so awesome about Islam, that these are the main teachings. But now sometimes you feel like the tables have turned and things have flipped a little bit. Okay, let me go really quickly through the rest of these hadiths so that we can end this chapter for this session, inshallah. Another hadith by Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. 4 words. Ash-shadid man ghalaba nafsahu. You want to know who shadid is? What does shadid mean? Something that is firm, strong. So I'm going to say the beast. You want to know who's beast? The Prophet saying. You want to know who's the champion, who's the beast, who's good, who's like the strong one? Who is it? Man ghalaba nafsahu. The one who can overcome their nafs. All right? So I don't care. He's saying, I don't care if, you can beat everybody up out there. You can wrestle everybody out there and pin everybody out there. It doesn't matter. If you cannot overtake and overcome the nafs, you're not shadid. You ain't beast. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. Man malaka nafsahu idha raghib, wa idha rahib, wa idha ishtaha, wa idha ghadib, wa idha radiya, harram Allahu jasadahu ala nar. There are 4 or 5 states that one can be in. When you are inclined towards something, when you are afraid of something, when you desire something, when you get angry, when you're happy with something, in all of these cases, if a person, what he does is able to control themselves and make sure that haram doesn't happen in all these different states that we're in. And that's why we're in this dunya, because this dunya is full of ups and downs. One day you're upset, one day you're happy. In all of these different states, if you can control yourself and keep it within the boundaries of Allah, then this person, harram Allah jasadahu ala nar. Allah makes it haram on his body to go to the hellfire. Inna afdal al-jihad man jahada nafsahu allati bayna janbayh. Al-mujahid man jahada nafsahu. The final thing that I want to mention here is that the Holy Prophet ﷺ said that the greatest fight and struggle is the struggle against the self. That self which is bayna jambayh, is right here. You don't find it anywhere else, right? Jambayh means between your two sides. And this, if the Prophet said this, ﷺ, then Amir al-Mu'mineen in Nahj al-Balagha is just echoing what the Prophet said in Nahj al-Balagha that I'm always, saying, and you've probably heard from me before, that أَعْدَى عَدُوِكَ نَفْسُكَ الَّتِي بَيْنَ جَنْبَيْكَ. Your greatest enemy, O people, is the nafs of yours that is between your two sides. Is right here. Don't look for it outside, look for it inside. Here Rasulullah says that is the greatest fight. That is the greatest jihad, to fight the self, to combat the self when our desire goes against the satisfaction of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ask Allah to give us tawfiq to be those who traverse in this path. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Salawat.
Requesting brother Faisal to please start the dua, inshallah. Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat.
محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم إني أسألك برحمتك التي وسعت كل شيء وبقوتك التي قهرت بها كل شيء وخضع لها كل شيء وذل لها كل شيء وبجبروتك التي غلبت بها كل شيء وبعزتك التي لا يقوم لها شيء وبعظمتك التي ملأت كل شيء وبسلطانك التي على كل شيء وبوجهك الباقي بعد فناء كل شيء وبأسمائك التي ملأت أركان كل شيء وبعلمك التي أحاط بكل شيء وبنور وجهك الذي أضاء له كل شيء. All together. يا نور يا قدوس يا نور يا قدوس يا نور يا قدوس يا أول الأولين ويا آخر الآخرين. اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تهتك اللسان. اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تنزل النقام. اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تغير النعم. اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تحبس الدعاء. اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تقطع الرجاء. اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تنزل البلاء. اللهم اغفر لي كل ذنب أذنبته وكل خطيئة أخطأتها. اللهم إني أتقرب إليك بذكرك واستشفع بك إلى نفسك وأسألك بجودك أن تدنيني من قربك وأن توزعني شكرك وأن تلهمني ذكرك. اللهم إني أسألك سؤال خاضع متذلل خاشع متضرع أن تسامحني وترحمني وتجعلني بقسمك راضيا قانعا وفي جميع الأحوال متواضعا. اللهم وأسألك سؤال من اشتدت فاقته وأنزل بك عند الشدائد حاجته وعظم فيما عندك رغبته. اللهم عظم سلطانك وعلى مكانك وخفي مكرك وظهر أمرك وغلب قهرك وجرت قدرتك ولا يمكن الفرار من حكومتك. اللهم لا أجد لذنوبي غافرا ولا لقبائحي ساترا ولا لشيء من عمل القبيح بالحسن مبدلا غيرك لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك. أنت سبحانك وبحمدك ظلمت نفسي ظلمت نفسي ظلمت نفسي وتجرأت بجهلي وسكنت إلى قديم ذكرك لي ومنك علي. اللهم مولاي كم من قبيح سترته وكم من فادح من البلاء يقلته وكم من عثار وقيته وكم من مكروه دفعته وكم من ثناء جميل لست أحلا له نشرته. اللهم عظم بلائي وأفرط بي سوء حالي وقصرت بي أعمالي وقعدت بي أغلالي وحبسني عن نفعي بعد أملي وخدعتني الدنيا بغرورها ونفسي بجنايتها. يا سيدي فأسألك بعزتك ألا يحجب عنك دعائي سوء عملي وفعالي ولا تفزحني بخفي ما اطلعت عليه من سري ولا تعاجلني بالعقوبة على ما عملته في خلواتي من سوء فعلي وإساءتي ودوام تفريطي وجهالتي وكثرة شهواتي وغفلتي. وكن اللهم بعزتك لي في كل أحوالي رؤوفا وعلي في جميع الأمور عطوفا. إلهي وربي من لي غيرك أسأله كشف ضري ونذر في أمري. إلهي ومولاي أجريت علي حكما اتبعت فيه هوى نفسي، ولم أحترس فيه من تزيين عدوي، فغرني بما أحوى وأسعده على ذلك القضاء، فتجاوزت بما جرى علي من ذلك بعد حدودك، وخالفت بعد أوامرك. فلك الحمد علي في جميع ذلك، ولا حجة لي فيما جرى علي فيه قضاء، والزمني حكمك وبلاغ. وقد أتيتك يا إلهي بعد التقصير وإسرافي على نفسي، معتذرا نادما منكسرا مستقيلا مستغفرا منيبا مقرا مذعنا معترفا، لا أجد مفرا مما كان مني، ولا مفزعا أتوجه إليه في أمري غير قبولك عذري، وإدخالك إياي في سعة من رحمتك. اللهم فاقبل عذري وارحم شدة ضري، وفكني من شدي وثاقي. All together. يا رب ارحم ضعف بدني، يا رب ارحم، يا رب ارحم ضعف بدني، ورقة جلدي ودقة عظمي، يا من بدا خلقي وذكري وتربيتي وبري وتغذيتي. هبني لابتداء كرمك وسالف برك بي يا إلهي وسيدي وربي. أتراك معذبي بنارك بعد توحيد، وبعد من طوى عليه قلبي من معرفتك، ولهج به لساني من ذكرك، واعتقده ضميري من حبك، وبعد صدق اعترافي ودعائي خاضعا لربوبيتك، هيهات أنت أكرم من أن تذيع من ربيت أو تبعد من أدنيت أو تشرد من آويت أو تسلم إلى البلاء من كفيته ورحمته. وليت شعري يا سيدي وإلهي ومولاي أتسلط النار على وجوه خرت لعظمتك ساجدا، وعلى ألسن نطقت بتوحيدك صادقا، وبشكرك مادحا، وعلى قلوب اعترفت بإلهيتك محققا، وعلى ضمائر حوت من العلم بك حتى صارت خاشعة، وعلى جوارحي سعت إلى أوطان تعبدك طائعة، وأشارت باستغفارك مذعنة. ما هكذا الظن بك، ولا أخبرنا بفضلك عنك يا كريم يا رب، يا كريم يا رب، يا كريم يا رب. وأنت تعلم ضعفي عن قليل من بلاء الدنيا وعقوباتها، وما يجري فيها من المكاره على أهلها، على أن ذلك بلاء ومكروه قليل مكثور، يسير بقاء، قصير مدته. فكيف احتمالي لبلاء الآخرة وجليل وقوع المكاره فيها، وهو بلاء تطول مدته ويدوم مكامه، ولا يخفف عن أهله، لأنه لا يكون إلا عن غضبك وانتقامك وسخطك. وهذا ما لا تقوم له السماوات والأرض يا سيدي، فكيف لي وأنا عبدك الضعيف الذليل الحقير المسكين المستكين. يا إلهي وربي وسيدي ومولاي، لأي الأمور إليك أشكو، ولما منها أزج وأبكي، لأليم العذاب والشدة أم لطول البلاء ومدته. فلئن سيرتني للعقوبات مع أعدائك، وجمعت بيني وبين أهل بلائك، وفرقت بيني وبين أحبائك وأوليائك، فحبني يا إلهي وسيدي ومولاي وربي. صبرت على عذابك، فكيف أصبر على فراقك؟ وهبني صبرت على حر نارك، فكيف أصبر عن النذر إلى كرامتك؟ أم كيف أسكن في النار ورجائي عفوك؟ فبعزتك يا سيدي ومولاي أقسم صادقا لئن تركتني ناطقا لازجن إليك بين أهلها زجيج الآملين، ولا أصرخن إليك صراخ المستصرخين، ولا أبكين إليك بكاء الفاقدين، ولا أنادينك أين كنت يا ولي المؤمنين، يا غاية آمال العارفين altogether، يا غياث المستغيثين، يا غياث يا غياث المستغيثين. يا حبيب قلوب الصادقين ويا إله العالمين. أفتراك سبحانك يا إلهي وبحمدك تسمع فيها صوت عبد مسلم سجن فيها بمخالفته وذاق طعم عذابها بمعصيته وحبس بين أطباقها بجرمه وجريرته وهو يزج إليك زجيج مؤمل لرحمتك ويناديك بلسان أهل توحيدك ويتوسل إليك بربوبيتك. يا مولاي فكيف يبقى في العذاب وهو يرجو ما سلف من حلمك ورافقتك؟ أم كيف تؤلمه النار وهو يأمل فضلك ورحمتك؟ أم كيف يحرقه لهيبها وأنت تسمع صوته وترى مكانه؟ أم كيف يشتمل عليه زفيرها وأنت تعلم ضعفه؟ أم كيف يتقلقل بين أطباقها وأنت تعلم صدقا؟ أم كيف تزجره زبانيتها وهو يناديك يا رب؟ أم كيف يرجو فضلك في عتقه منها فتتركه فيها؟ هيهات ما ذلك الظن بك ولا المعروف من فضلك ولا مشبه لما عملت به الموحدين من برك وإحسانك فباليقين يقطع لولا حكمت به من تعذيب جاحدك وقضيت به من إخلاد معاندك. لجعلت النار كلها بردا وسلاما وما كان لأحد فيها مقرا ولا مقاما، لكنك تقدست أسماؤك أقسمت أن تملأها من الكافرين من الجنة والناس أجمعين وأن تخلد فيها المعاندين وأن تجلى ثناؤك. قلت مبتدئا وتطولت بالإنعام متكرما، أفمن كان مؤمنا كمن كان فاسقا لا يستوون. إلهي وسيدي فأسألك بالقدرة التي قدرتها وبالقضية التي حتمتها وحكمتها وغلبت من عليه أجريتها، أن تهب لي في هذه الليلة وفي هذه الساعة كل جرم أجرمت وكل ذنب أذنبت وكل قبيح أسررت وكل جهل عملت كتمته أو أعلنت أخفيته أو أظهرت وكل سيئة أمرت بإثباتها الكرام الكاتبين الذين وكلتهم بحفظ ما يكون مني وجعلتهم شهودا علي مع جوارحي، وكنت أنت الرقيب علي من ورائهم والشاهد لما خفي عنهم، وبرحمتك أخفيت وبفضلك سترت، وأن توفر حظي من كل خير أنزلت أو إحسان فضلت أو بر نشرت أو رزق بسطت أو ذنب تغفره أو خطأ تستره. يا ربي يا ربي يا رب يا ربي يا ربي يا رب يا ربي يا ربي يا رب يا إلهي وسيدي ومولاي ومالك رقي، يا من بيدي ناصيتي، يا عليما بضري ومسكنتي، يا خبيرا بفقري وفاقتي. All together. يا ربي يا ربي يا رب يا ربي يا ربي يا ربي يا ربي يا رب، أسألك بحقك وقدسك وعدم صفاتك وأسمائك أن تجعل أوقاتي من الليل والنهار بذكرك معمورا وبخدمتك موصولا وأعمالي عندك مقبولا، حتى تكون أعمالي وأورادي كلها وردا واحدا، وحالي في خدمتك سرمدا. يا سيدي يا من عليه معولي، يا من إليه شكوت أحوالي، يا ربي يا ربي يا رب يا ربي يا ربي يا رب يا ربي يا ربي يا رب، قو على خدمتك جوارحي واشدد على العزيمة جوانحي، وهب لي الجد في خشيتك والدوام في الاتصال بخدمتك، حتى أسرح إليك في ميادين السابقين وأسرع إليك في البارزين، واشتاق إلى قربك في المشتاقين، وأدنو منك دنو المخلصين، وأخافك مخافة الموقنين، واجتمع في جوارك مع المؤمنين. اللهم ومن أرادني بسوء فأرد، ومن كادني فكد، واجعلني من أحسن عبيدك نسيبا عندك وأقربهم منزلة منك، وأخسهم زلفة لديك، فإنه لا ينال ذلك إلا بفضلك، وجد لي بجودك، وعطف علي بمجدك، واحفظني برحمتك، واجعل لساني بذكرك لهجا، وقلبي بحبك متيما، ومن علي بحسن إجابتك، وأقلني عثرتي، واغفر زلتي، فإنك قضيت على عبادك بعبادتك، وأمرتهم بدعائك، وضمنت لهم الإجابة، فإليك يا ربي نسبت وجهي، وإليك يا ربي مددت يدي، فبعزتك استجب لي دعائي، وبلغني مناي، ولا تقطع من فضلك رجائي، واكفني شر الجن والإنس من عدائي. All together. يا سريع الرضا، يا سريع الرضا، اغفر لمن لا يملك إلا الدعاء، فإنك فعال لما تشاء، يا من اسمه دواء، وذكره شفاء، وطاعته غنى، ارحم من رأس ماله الرجاء، وسلاحه البقاء، يا سابغ النعم، يا دافع النقام، يا نور المستوحشين في الظلام، يا عالما لا يعلم، صل على محمد وآل محمد، وافعل بما أنت أهله، ولا تفعل بما أنا أهله، وصلى الله على رسوله والأئمة الميامين من آله، وسلم تسليما كثيرا. صلوات.
السلام عليك يا رسول الله، السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين، السلام على الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة، السلام على 9 المعصومين من ولد الحسين، السلام عليك يا غريب الغرباء ومعين الضعفاء والفقراء، أيها الرضا ورحمة الله وبركاته، السلام عليك يا مولانا يا صاحب الزمان، عجل الله تعالى فرجك، وسهل الله تعالى مخرجك وظهورك، السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته.